The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings from Minneapolis, everybody. Coming to you cordless. It's Tuesday night, June 29th, 2025. I'm Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. Episode number, hold on, I got to check for sure. I think it's 258. What do I know? Yeah, 258. Episode number 258. Mark your scorecards at home. Yep, we're getting it done. We got it going on. Yeah, okay, boomer. All right. Hope you guys had a good day. It's it's uh it's hot in America right now. It's going to get hotter in most places, but of course it's already been hot here. It's left here in Minneapolis. We're going to be starting tomorrow. We're going to have at least a week with the temperature under 80. Whereas, I mean, most on the East Coast, I'm seeing they're going to be heat indexes of 120, 125. We did that last week. So it's moving west, and that's usually what happens. Jet stream and all sort of rot. So yeah, while you guys on the East Coast, while you're boiling, we're going to be relatively okay here, and that's okay with me. I'm good. I got it going on. Tonight, our guest is Rachel Ehrenfeld. She's written a biography. Actually, she says, I know this because we taped this interview this afternoon. She says it's actually not a biography; it's a critique, but it is more or less. She does cover the life of George Soros, the billionaire that funds a lot of liberal policies and organizations in the United States and also all over the world. I mean, this guy's really decided to spend his money to do this. And I don't quite, my first question to her, I don't quite understand how a guy who made so much money through capitalism wants to destroy capitalism. It does not make a lot of sense to me. We had a pretty fascinating discussion. We taped this afternoon. I've been talking with Kimberly, our booker. I think we're going to do more taped interviews because I like to do them live, but man, people have technical problems. I mean, today it took us a good 10 minutes to get Rachel's feed up to speed so we could do this. If we had done this live, it would have been a disaster. And that seems to be more and more the case all the time. People are having, I don't know if just the internet's getting more complex or whatever, but more and more people that we interview are having more and more problems connecting. And our connecting system is pretty damn simple. Basically, you click a link in an email and you're in, you know. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule for August, and we have more and more. Most of the people we're going to be interviewing are going to be taped ahead of time. So, and unfortunately, it loses a little. I mean, I'm doing this live now, so I still sit here at 8 p.m. Central every night and do this. But the interview, it's good. I get to do work while the interview's running because I don't listen to it because I was there. So I know what's going on. And so it's not a bad way to use my time, but I think it just loses a little spontaneity, or there's just something about it being live that I think is kind of cool. I think a lot of other people think that too. Anyway, we've already taped the interview with Rachel, and we're going to put her on in just a second here. Tomorrow night we have Gary Gallus. He's an economics professor at Pepperdine University in Los Angeles. We're going to be talking to him mostly about tariffs. Thursday is our 2-year anniversary. Our first show was July 31st, 2023. Our first guest was economist Murray Sabrin, and he's coming back for this. I invited him back, and we're going to be talking to him and also our old friend Larry Newman from Joplin, Missouri. All right, and We're not taking calls tonight or tomorrow, but we will take your calls on Thursday night. If you want to call in and want to wish us a happy birthday, that's cool. Whatever. I think I told you it was my mother's on Saturday night. Saturday was my mother's 101st birthday. And so what I learned is that, you go to the store, you go to Target or where you're going to go, Hallmark, and buy the birthday cards. They have the landmark birthdays. They don't go past 90. So I bought her a birthday card for one because I'm goofy that way. So then I wrote in the 101. It's like, you're 1 year old. That's great. Yeah, she thought it was pretty funny. So we're gonna do some stuff on part two. I do a little Gymcast, and we're gonna talk about some AI stuff, and she calls it A1, and I said, no, Mom, that's a steak sauce. She says, what is this A1 thing? How's it going to replace all these people? Okay, I don't know. It makes me laugh. It's stupid. I know it's stupid. All right, Thursday is our 2-year anniversary. We're taking next Monday, the 4th, off. I got to specifically because I know you're just thinking I'm a pussy, but I got a dentist appointment in the afternoon, and if they give me any sort of Novocaine or anything, I'm out for the count. I don't even want to bother with it anymore. So I'm taking Monday off. Tuesday we have Leslie Corbley coming, and she is a poet, and she has written a book called Silent Suffering, which she says is a poetic critique of progressive values. Now, this is going to be kind of interesting. I don't think there are a lot of poets that are conservatives, so it'll be interesting talking to her. That's next Tuesday. Wednesday, our old friend Tim Conaway is joining us, the former executive editor of Hustler magazine. He will regale us some more stories, and maybe we can even coax another imitation of him of Larry Flint, which he does flawlessly. And next Thursday, entrepreneur J.C. Shepard. This guy's done all sorts of stuff. One of the things he did is he started the Wimkin Social Network. I know a few people who are on that. That's his deal. But he's also started just a boatload of other companies. So he's going to be joining us next Thursday. And like I said, we're not taking any calls tonight. We're not taking any calls tomorrow night when Gary Gallus is here. We will be taking calls on Thursday night, our birthday. We will be doing that. So in 12 seconds, folks, here's Rachel Ehrenfeld. Stay tuned. Joining us from her office in Manhattan, author Rachel Ehrenfeld, who's the author of the Soros Agenda, and she's also the founder and the president of the American Center for Democracy. Hi, Rachel. How you doing?
Hi. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. I'm really look forward to talking to you because George, if I had a imaginary list of the 5 people I want to interview, George Soros would be on it because I don't understand what drives this guy at all. So let me just start out with
I'm not sure he does.
Well, okay, that's what I want to know, and that's the first question. Why does he do this stuff?
Because he can.
Yeah. That's true of a lot of rich people, but on the other hand, it seems counterintuitive in the sense that he made his fortune under capitalism, and it seems like he's trying to destroy capitalism.
Why? Do you know many active socialists who are poor?
No, now that you mention it, no, I don't. That's true. You have a good point there. They aren't poor, are they? No. I still don't understand. And the other thing is now,
Maybe they feel guilty.
Say again?
Maybe they feel guilty, although I don't think that Soros feels guilt for anything he has done.
All right, one more time. I didn't catch that.
Maybe they feel guilty, although I don't think that Soros feels guilty for anything he has done.
All right, that's okay. That's interesting too. Why would he feel guilty? Because all right, He's made an enormous amount of money. He's written 3 books on his investing methods. I haven't read them, but all the economists I know that read them say they basically make no sense.
No, everything that he had written there is nothing that he had written that makes sense. I've written everything that I've written. I've read everything he had written that was Cruel and Unusual Punishment, and all his speeches, all his publications, everything available, I have read all. And the book actually reflects it, because the text itself is only 100 pages, and the rest of it, of 290 some pages, is references. I cite him all the time. So,
yes. Well, okay. So, first of all, is there any chance? My accountant thinks he made this money through fraud. That's what she tells me, because she said his investment methods make no sense to her, and they make no sense to most people who look at this. So,
everybody is entitled to their opinion. I did not. This is not a biography of him, and I not actually looked at his financial activities. I looked at his political activities.
Right, I understand.
Especially regarding the United States, although not only. But since the United States had been his main target, I focus, and of course I live here and I'm an American citizen, so I'm concerned with what is happening here and what he has done here.
Does he say why this is his main target? Has he ever said that or talked about it?
Yeah, I will read my book.
All right, in 25 words.
He explained, he thinks that he has a better idea of, first of all, he doesn't like the fact that the United States is and this is before Trump came on stage, he didn't like the United States being the superpower in the world. That was not to his liking. He also doesn't like the capitalist system, so he has a better idea of how to run government and how to run society. He considers himself an unknown, unheard philosopher. So he kind of gives you his philosophy about how things should work, domestically and internationally. So he's not exactly shy about his opinions. Now, he is no longer running the Open Society Foundations. His son Alex is doing it now.
Yeah, right.
And there is more. Actually, it's more cloudy or less transparent than it has ever been, although it already had received the award, if you want, or the recognition of the least transparent organization, a think tank in the world, okay? But there is not much about it. But when his son took over in June of 2023, he said, it was in the Wall Street Journal, that he's more political, and he's going to be more political than his father. And with a war chest of at least $25 billion, well, I guess he can do a lot of harm.
Yeah, it's also very scary because unlike at least his father has had some life experience doing stuff, Alex Soros, as far as I can tell, hasn't done anything. Because and how old is he? I don't even know. Like what, 34 or something like that?
No, Alex Soros is close to 90. I guess he's been 39 for the last 3 years. So I don't know.
I bet he has. And he looks fabulous, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't. But his father, George Soros, will be 95 on August 13.
Uh-huh.
And he's no longer in public. He has been actually absent from public view for appearances anywhere for at least for more than a year.
And
now.
based on what you know, is he? Would you categorize him?
It doesn't look from last pictures that were available, he didn't look to be doing too well. Alex got married about a month ago
Right.
to well, to
Who?
Hillary Clinton's longtime
Yeah.
assistant Huma Abedin, who has very interesting familial ties also with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Uh-huh.
So it's an interesting match, and he has been contributing money actually towards elections, domestic elections, local elections, but not only, also internationally, but domestically in the United States to local elections and influencing local elections. And also, he was very quick, or his foundation was very quick to fund the anti-Israeli pro-Hamas demonstrations immediately after, days after October 7. So demonstrations funded by him have been in San Francisco, in New York, and elsewhere. So pro-Hamas
Yeah,
against
you
Israel.
brought up. Well, there's another insane contradiction here too. He's a Jew, and he seems to be funding anti-Jew activities. I don't get that either.
Well, he's a self-hating Jew apparently, but he says that he acknowledges his Judaism. I mean, he was born to Jewish parents, but he has been using the religion he has been born into as a shield. So anybody attacks him, that's anti-Semitism. And by doing so, he actually trivialized anti-Semitism long before it was very fashionable. He certainly contributed to it.
Now,
The father. So he is against the Jewish state of Israel. He claims the Jews don't know why the Jews need a state. Hey, the fact that they had the state, 3,500 years ago, okay, but it doesn't mean that they should have it back now.
the way I look at this, Rachel, I'm assuming you're going to agree with me, or maybe you might not agree with my logic here, but Israel's been around for 75 years, and people are bitching about it.
Israel has been here. Israel has been around for 3,500 years.
Yeah, I understand.
The new Israel last 76 years.
Right, that's what I mean. The new Israel, okay? And people bitch about it. It's too late, And what are you going to do? Take Tel Aviv down? I mean, it's like,
They're trying.
Yeah, okay, but there's another thing here too. I mean, you're the expert on this, so you tell me if I'm wrong here. The thing is, there's not. I mean, I used to be a good liberal boy 20, 30 years ago, and I used to believe in the two-state solution because it's like, and then I slowly realized that no, you're dealing with a highly civilized society and a bunch of thugs, basically.
They are murderous thugs. It's like asking you to live. Asking you not to eliminate the vipers that are surrounding you.
Yeah.
Okay? Live happily with all the vipers around you.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Israel is the only country, and what is happening and the international propaganda against Israel and all the attacks about, they are starving Gaza. No, there is no policy of starving Gaza. There are 1,000, at least 1,000 trucks filled with food and food supply and medical supply and whatever they need, waiting to be distributed in Gaza, but the UN is supposed to distribute it, and the UN is not willing to do it. Why not? Because they work together with Hamas, and these trucks, I mean, the food on them, they make a lot of money by stealing it and selling it on the black market,
right?
And using it as propaganda against Israel, and they are doing it also in order to promote the the Palestinian Authority with Abbas to promote a two-state solution. What a two-state? You want to reward killers, murderers, the most despicable people on earth with the state?
Right.
Why?
Right. And Hamas is going to run your state. That's a great idea too.
Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful.
I mean, I'm just pointing this out for the viewers here. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Israel basically stayed out of Gaza for 14 years, and Hamas is an actually elected government. They never had another election, but 14 years ago, the Palestinian people actually elected Hamas as their government, and so that's their government. And so all Hamas does is dump on the Palestinian people, and the fact that the mainstream press won't report of this, or they're too stupid to figure it out, I just find this just absurd at this point. It's ridiculous. You can't believe a single thing coming out of there.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, because most of the media is on the left, and they are working together with Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, and many of them are paid by Qatar for this propaganda. Many of them. Israel doesn't have, they are releasing pictures, they are releasing information, they are showing what they are doing, but you cannot find it, you can hardly find it on the internet.
Did you ever think you'd see a time in the 21st century in America with so much hatred toward Jews? I'm just absolutely astonished by this. It's like we're living Nazi Germany all over again. I just find it unbelievable.
Absolutely. It is truly, it is frightening, but the issue is that going after Israel, the United States and the US Constitution is based on Judeo-Christian values, on the Bible too,
right.
On the Jewish Bible, on the Old Testament. The founding fathers used it also to write the Constitution. So going after Israel in this case is the small Satan, if you want, and they are coming after the big Satan, the United States. This is really after the destruction, or they want the destruction of Western society, of Western civilization, and the radical left, the neo-Marxist, neo-communist, neo-left, whatever, progressives, join together with the radical Muslim, and they want the same thing. They want to destroy the United States,
Rachel,
and Israel.
Do they know why they want to destroy the United States? What is their reasoning?
Well, they don't want a free country based on Judeo-Christian values, because these are the only values that respect the individual and actually put the burden of responsibility on the individual. The others are run by collectives, by people who are not elected,
right.
By people who are pagans, if you want.
So I look at Israel and I see basically a shining beacon of civilization surrounded by a whole bunch of countries that are essentially basically 200 years behind us in terms of civilization. They're benefiting off of our technology, which they're trying to destroy. It's in some ways it's like a cancer. A cancer ultimately kills the host, even though there's no logic to this at all. I mean, it's like no one's there. I mean, sometimes I think I live in a world where
there is feeling to it. There is feeling. They feel. They feel, and there is a lot of hate that feels their feeling, and so they want to destroy this hateful America and Israel.
Do you think there's a lot of envy too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because our success, America's success and Israel's success actually shows their failure, highlights their failure. So socialist, communist, neo-Marxist, old Marxist, all systems have failed. Likewise, Islam. So, but they are coming after Israel and after the United States.
I say on this program regularly that it's hard to defend capitalism because capitalism is highly flawed, but it's still the best system around. It's still better than all the others. you know,
And it is it is actually giving chances to everybody.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And it's pulled people out of poverty. It's the only system that's pulled people out of poverty. It's the only system that actually creates wealth.
And the system of individual freedom in the United States and Israel that provides you with the choice is very, very important, because neither communist regime, both of them, the socialist, communist, and the Islamic regimes, are all totalitarian. You have no choice. They decide what is good for you. They decide, like Mamdani here in New York, who is running for mayor. They will decide to you, yeah, you can get only what they have in the government or city run grocery stores.
Right, that'll be a great success.
Yeah, this is crazy. We've seen the empty shells in Cuba and in Russia and in Venezuela. Okay,
right.
And the same. And you will decide, and the radical Islam will decide whether how women can cover themselves and enforce Sharia, Islamic law. That tells that the husband should whip his wife.
Right.
Okay? So and girls cannot go to school, and all kind of nice advanced human advancement policies. No, thank you.
I've said on this program many times, the funniest thing I've heard in 20 years is Queers for Palestine. That's as far as jokes go, you can't get a better joke than that.
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
Actually, in England, since the England has become really Islamist, if you want, the king had gone to a mosque and praised Islam, and the Archbishop of the Anglican Church had gone to mosque and praised Islam. This is crazy, and they are limiting the freedom of speech. So if you publish anything about any criticism of Islam or anything that may sound or cause somebody to feel like you are criticizing Islam, you can go to prison.
Yeah,
it's not funny.
Yeah.
So,
also, the corollary to this extremely funny joke is that here in Tel Aviv, you have one of the single most gay-friendly cities on the entire planet.
Absolutely. So now the gays in England decided that that gays actually cannot participate in gay day parade in England. Why? The Israelis cannot participate in the gay day parade in UK because they are Jewish.
Yeah,
because they are Israelis. This is crazy.
Well, I don't have to tell you this. The whole England is going down the road to hell. I mean, they are. It's like, I don't know. I have a really hard time even believing what's going on over there. It's just terrible. I mean, there's just something came out. Well, explain to the viewers here what Rachel's Law is. You were involved in a landmark court case.
Yeah, Rachel's Law, so-called Rachel's Law. Rachel's Law is a new law that I have helped to get through, lobbied for, which Congress passed, and Obama actually quite reluctantly signed, but he did sign it. It was in July of 2010. The law says that no foreign libel judgment on anybody, a reporter, a scholar, journalist, author who had written about whatever, no foreign libel judgment can be enforced in the United States. If somebody wants to sue an American author or journalist for defamation, they should come here and sue according to American law, because in America, it's the only country we have the First Amendment, which gives us freedom of expression in the Constitution.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to sue us, they should come here. So the English bar was not very happy with the decision because they lost a lot of money. And it happened because I was sued by a Saudi billionaire, at the time the owner of the biggest of the biggest bank in the Middle East, and now the bank is owned by the government. At the time, it was owned by him.
And he sued you in Saudi court, right?
No, he sued me in an English court.
Okay.
Who knows? Saudi court may have actually been on my side. But no, he sued me in a British court for defamation. Why? Because everywhere the American law, the free speech is really unique, because if you are sued for defamation in the United States, if I sue you for defamation, I have to prove that you actually defamed me.
Right.
In England and everywhere else, if I sue you for defamation, I have to prove that you defamed me. The burden of proof is on me, not on you.
Right.
Okay, so this is why I said, well, he wants to sue me, he should come here, Besides, I refuse to acknowledge the jurisdiction of the British court. I said that America fought for its independence, 250 years ago. If he wants to sue me, he should come here.
Well, you just alluded to this, and that is the United States is the only country in the world with the First Amendment. We're the only one. A lot of countries will feign, or they talk about free speech, but it's not codified in the law.
No.
The place where it actually is.
Absolutely not. So I thought, okay, so he sued me in England. I went and countersued him here, and the court came back. It's a long story, but the court came back and said, well, actually, the law does not protect you from a foreign libel judgment.
Right.
But if the law changes, you have protection. So I went ahead and started working on changing the law. And so the law in New York, first the law in New York changed. And then I also worked with other states and went also to Congress to have a federal law passed so that all American writers, publishers will be protected from foreign libel judgment. So this is the Rachel's law.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is. So basically, he sued you in English court, and I don't know what the technical term would be, but they tried to extradite that ruling to the United States, right? That's basically what it was. Right?
It used to be, until the law passed, until Rachel law passed, it used to be, okay, you had a judgment in England against me, and I had to pay you here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
No, now you cannot do it. Now, if there is a judgment against me, you have to come here and sue me in the United States, and and then you have actually to prove that I defamed you.
Yeah. So, Rachel, these campus protests regarding Hamas, has George Soros been funding those, or some of those, or many of those students?
He's not the only one, but his foundations have certainly funded many of them.
Do you think the Trump administration is going to have success in dialing this stuff back? I find it unbelievable that the colleges have let this go on. But
I'm not surprised. I've been following this for a long time. So this has been going on for a long time. Foreign money coming in and subverting actually the whole education system, paying off professors, giving money and dictating who will be hired and who will not be hired, what will be taught, what will not be taught, and also opening branches of American universities in Doha, in Qatar. And Qatar is the major funder of radical Islamism today in the world. It is supposed to be our friend, our ally. It is supposed to be, I don't know, go between, moderator. No, it is creating the problem, like funding Hamas, helping Iran, and then they come in and say, okay, maybe we can moderate, and nothing is happening. Okay, but their money, and they have invested a lot of money in lobbies in the United States and elsewhere, as well as in a lot of industry. So it's not only the $400 million plane given as a gift to the Defense Department. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I think that their goal isn't just to radicalize the youth. Sometimes I think their goal is to destroy America by
Yes.
but by keeping these kids from actually being educated, because for every hour they spend in college talking about Hamas and
They don't study physics or
right. They're not right. They're not studying anything. So
American history.
yeah, or anything of any substance, really.
Yeah,
They're not. And so now we have produced. I mean, I talked to a lot of people on the show. It's like my generation was really, really stupid. We were. I mean, basically, I think anybody under 30 is stupid as hell. But this generation seems to be particularly so because they literally don't have any education in anything else.
Well, and the parents of this generation are in part responsible because they have not paid attention to what is going on at school.
Yeah.
Why didn't they?
I don't know. Tell me.
I don't know. My parents knew what I was studying. Okay.
Yeah.
They spoke with me about it. We had conversations about it. They knew what my brother was studying. There was interest all the time, and they followed our studies. They encouraged us, but it's a different culture. I grew up in Israel, so I don't know, but similar. But the left has been more successful in the United States and in most Western European countries, and Islam through the massive illegal migration in most instances, and with the globalization that Soros had been supporting from the get-go, their influence, they combined their sources, and their influence has been really caused huge damages everywhere. I don't know if Europe can recover from it. It seems that, I don't know, both Britain and France are kind of, I don't know if they can be helped anymore. And what worries me there also is that once they allow the illegal Muslim migrants to stay there, they issue them ID certificates and passport, and they can come to the United States and nobody would know better.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also a security threat in my view. But we see that more and more as their numbers grow, they pretend to be sometimes on the left, and we have several of them. You have Mamdani here in New York. You have Omar in Congress. You have Ossi is on the left, but she's supporting the same lies. And there are quite a few of them, the progressives. And it's very dangerous here in the United States too, because they get into office, and George and now Alex Soros are seeing to it that they will be elected in many places. The more of them are in offices, the more ability they will have to change our reality here. And this is dangerous.
What do you say to people who say, a lot of these people on the left say, well, we're not against the people of Israel. We're not against Jews. We're against the Israeli government. What do you say? What's your response to that?
That's, pardon my French, it's nonsense, okay?
Uh-huh.
The Israelis had chosen this government. They elected it legally. It is there, and they elected it and re-elected it. and most of the people in Israel want this government and want this government to finish the war. However, the left in Israel, which was supported by USAID, Biden's USAID, and even before Clinton's USAID, and by wealthy Soros and others like him, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, etc., to actually try to oust the Israeli legitimate government and change society so that they will give up, they will surrender to Hamas and give up their what and commit suicide.
I
This
don't.
is how they want to destroy the Jewish state.
That seems insanity to me. I don't understand how anybody living in Israel could be against the war. I just don't, or how they'd want to surrender to Hamas. I
Now,
just find that
it,
that's complete craziness.
it defies logic completely, but they are there and they are actually supposedly leaking information to the New York Times or the Washington Post.
Hmm.
The information they are leaking is lies, okay? But once it was published in the New York Times or in the Washington Post, then the Israeli press can reprint it and say, "Oh, you see, this is what they are saying." So
Right.
We've seen it with Obama many times,
Yeah.
creating an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that. So, and
It-
Soros was very good. George Soros was very good, actually, in working that system and developing it and paying for it when there were the Obama negotiations with Iran about the very bad nuclear deal with Iran in 2015.
How many people live in Israel? Is it 5 million?
No, there are now 9 million Jews, and there are additional, there are Arab Israelis, Druze Israelis, and even Christians.
And what percentage of the Israeli population would you put on the radical left? What
It's not even.
is it? 10%?
No. It's not even 1%.
It's not even 1%.
Yeah, but they are very well funded,
Yeah.
and they have the media to use
Right.
because the media is left.
Right. And
So,
have you ever? I've been dealing with the media my entire life. I don't understand. It's they are almost to a. I don't have to tell you, around the world, almost to a person, they're liberal people, and it just seems to me that a certain type of personality type is attracted to this business.
but no, it is because they to succeeded to change the language. Well, that's what the Orwellian philosophy is very good at. So now you and I, when we say liberal, we think in the old terms of somebody who is open-minded, right?
Right. Right.
Well, no, these people are not open-minded.
No.
They corrupted the language. And there are many things that the whole PC issue, the political correctness, was also, oh, you can say, don't use the word terrorist, but you certainly cannot use Islamist terrorist, okay?
Yeah.
So they changed actually the meanings of the words often, or disallow the public to use the words that they grew up with.
Yeah, that's the reason I actually use the words the radical left, because you're right. I mean, at this point, Bill Clinton would not get into the Democratic Party now. He wouldn't be allowed in.
Maybe he could change his mind if he's paid enough.
And you just Well, that's unusual. I don't think we've ever had that happen before. And I can't get this video back up. I've tried to get it going again and I can't. So I don't know what's going on here. I think we're gonna have to bail on this, which is terrible. We're only about well, there's about 10 minutes left, I guess. So well, that's too bad. Here's another bumper. Yeah, sorry about that. That's that kind of bothers me. Wow. All right. Well, anyway, thanks to Rachel Ehrenfeld. I was going to send her. They want to put the file of this interview on the American Center for Democracy website, and I'll have to check it to see. I don't know if this is just a glitch that happened during this playback, or if there's something actually wrong with the file. I got to figure that out. Anyway, my apologies for that. I do have a lot of news here. This is Jimcast, part two of our show. If you're not familiar with it, this is where I talk about the news, and it's usually the news you don't hear about in the real news. I talk about stuff that I pull stuff out of the butts of many people. No, actually, I don't. That's gross, isn't it? Yeah. All right. And here's my first thing. And this is now, if you have watched this show in the past, I don't talk about what even a remotely consider people would consider gossip. I don't, unless I'm trying to make a point, and I'm going to mention something here because I'm trying to make a point, and that was the shooting that happened in New York City last night. All right, now that's a terrible thing, and it turns out that this guy, he was basically mentally ill, and he was blaming some of his health conditions on playing football because apparently he was a very good high school football player. But his idea was to go to the headquarters of the NFL and start killing people. Now, how you make the jump from your high school football team to the NFL when you didn't play in the NFL, I don't know. But, that's what happens when people are not of right mind. But that said, that's not really what I'm talking about here. What I want to talk about is I did graze around the channels a little bit, and Fox News was not the only place doing this. Fox News devoted the entire night, I mean overnight, to this story. Several hours of live programming. And my problem here is this is a local story. Now, granted, they're in New York City, and most of the media is in New York City in the United States, the national media. And so it's a local story for them. So they think it's really important. Here in Minneapolis, it's not that I don't give bupkis. And that's the thing. I'm not saying they shouldn't report this. I don't want to, don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to actually say that this story did not deserve attention, but it didn't deserve that much attention. That's my point. It's like we talk about these reporters being in bubbles all the time, and I'd like to think that Fox News is a really, really well-run organization and company. It really is. I mean, first of all, it's kind of endemic in what they're doing. They're blowing the doors off of every other television network, even the free ones. I mean, the last few months they were either the number one or number two television network in America, not cable overall. They were beating ABC, NBC, and CBS. It's real. I mean, I talk about this regularly, but I cannot overemphasize their success. It's incredible. There's been nothing like this in the history of television, where one company has so thoroughly dominated the entire broadcasting landscape. It's never happened. So I'd like to think they're a little better at this, but they weren't last night. No, last night they canceled Gutfeld. They ran Trace Gallagher ran the Fox News at Night thing basically all night long until 5 a.m. until Carly Shipkins came on. And there wasn't that much to talk. First of all, that's the other thing. There isn't that much to talk about. You have press conferences by the police, that sort of thing. And there's speculation and little things dribble out, but seriously, who cares? And yes, it's an important story, but it's not that important. That's the thing. It's talking about how you're going to. It's not an all or nothing deal. It isn't. In Minneapolis here, I want to know about the fact that some guy did go into an office building in Manhattan and start shooting people. I do want to know that, but I don't need to know about it 5 hours nonstop. I don't. And I think most people agree with me. I do. And this is a problem. It's the scoop mentality of the media, and what the media's never realized. And now, me having worked at this and dealt with the media for 40 freaking years, is that most of the public doesn't care. 9/11, okay, it's one thing, that's one thing. This isn't 9/11. It isn't, you know? And so, and why they can't make a distinction between those two things, I don't know. So I'm just telling you right now, that pissed me off. That's why I'm talking about it. I don't think they should do that. I don't. Now, it'll be really interesting. We have Conaway coming on next week. I got to ask him about that. He spent his entire life in journalism too. So, yeah, we'll talk to him about that. All right. So here's another story. I was making fun of my mother at the top of the show because she calls AI A1, which I still think is pretty funny. I'm gonna see if she'll call in on Thursday night. I tried to have her call in last time, but I think she screwed it up or something. She's 101 and she's still walking around. So I have to tell you, I took her to the theater on Saturday night to see Shrek the Musical, and I called the theater ahead of time because it's nice, I know people. And when the director came out to make the announcements about, no photography, all this sort of rot, at the end he said, "We have a celebrity in the audience tonight is not a Peters here." And I pointed at her and said, "Yeah, she's right here." And he said, "Well, it's her 101st birthday today." And the crowd went nuts. It was full house. It was just the coolest damn thing. I mean, the whole night was worth that. I took mom to dinner too, at a really nice restaurant. And yeah, the crowd went crazy. And all night long during intermission and when we were leaving the theater, people were coming up to her and wishing her happy birthday. It was really cool. It really was. Anyway, so yeah, I brought that up because yeah, I was making fun of Mama calling it A1. So, but here's a story. The porn studios are filing a copyright lawsuit against Meta, the company run by Mark Zuckerberg that owns Facebook, for using porn videos to train AI. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, and there's been all sorts of these, not necessarily lawsuits, but uh, there's been all sorts of these lawsuits and threats of them because of AI using copyrighted material. But here's the deal on this. I don't know if this is going to be successful. I don't know if this is actually true because what AI does is it goes out on the internet and gobbles up everything. It gobbles up everything it can find. Articles, posts, comments, videos, audio files, podcasts. It gobbles up everything. And really, the race now is to see how much your AI large language model program can gobble up stuff. But it's basically just like a person gobbling up stuff. You don't think that people who direct porn videos haven't watched other videos to get some tips? That's the thing. It's not really copying the videos. Now, I know technically you could make an argument that it has to copy the videos to digest them. It's the same thing that happened with caching memory years ago. It's like, well, okay, and what's the example? I didn't think this through. I'm sorry. Uh, like music files about the fact that temporarily to play them back, you have to put them in cache and random access memory in your computer to play them back, and technically that's a copy. And technically, you are violating copyright law by doing that. But it's obviously not a copy in the sense that you're not selling it, or even saving it for that matter. It's a temporary copy. Now, The laws have been adjusted now to adjust for that. It's like that's allowed. That's not considered a quote unquote copy. Well, what AI is doing isn't really a copy either. It's like it is basically just watching a video to see what's in it. Now, if AI actually copies elements of your video verbatim, well, that would be a copyright violation. But it doesn't do that. It does the same thing a human does, and that is it watches a lot of stuff to try to figure out how the stuff is made, what the general conventions are, and then it produces its own original version itself. It's really pretty much like what a human does. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with these lawsuits. This isn't the only one. Um, I like I said, I don't think this is really a legitimate copyright violation. I don't. You can make an argument, and some of these companies are too, that by coming and gobbling up their data, they're actually putting strain on their servers, and that's legitimate. They are. We've talked about this before. And when you ask, like, I use Copilot because it's cheap, it's free because it's on my computer. Uh, and you ask your AI or ChatGTP or Copilot or whatever you're using, when you ask it a question, it takes 5 times more electricity to answer that question than to do a regular web search. And web searches take a good amount of electricity in and of themselves. I mean, I don't know if you know about like Facebook and Google have been building data centers next to rivers so they can use the water as coolant. This is already burning up electricity. This is going to be, I mean, I think I saw somebody said that by 2030, 12% of all the electricity, 1/8 of the electricity in the United States is going to be used just to power AI and no other thing. And it's probably going to get worse after that. So, I mean, there's going to be some problems here, but I don't know if copyright violation is actually going to be one of them. I'm really curious to see what the courts do here. All right. So, this is another piece of news you probably didn't hear about today, and this was just announced today too. Apple's going to be going to close the is going to it's going to have its first store closing in China ever. And not it's not I don't want to make certain I'm clear on this. It's not that the first store they open is closing. It's the first closing of a store they've ever had in China. They're closing a store. They've never closed a store before. They've built stores and built stores and they've all stayed open. Now they're closing some because apparently I don't know if it's the tariffs or what it is, but apparently uh the business is down in certain places, I guess. So Kevin O'Leary comes on Fox Business this afternoon, and he says, "I wonder what Apple's going to look like in 5 years." And that's a really good question because he brought something up, and that is right. They seem to have nothing. Their entire growth has revolved around revolutionary products. You stop and think about it. You go all the way back to the iPod. Podcasts are named after that, you know, and then the first iPhone, which I really needs to be mentioned. The very first iPhone was basically a perfect device. This thing came out of the gate basically perfect. Now it wasn't as big as the phones are now, and it couldn't wasn't as powerful, but the interface was basically they really haven't changed it. They've changed it cosmetically, but in no other real substantial way. I mean, they nailed this on the very first try, and that's pretty freaking amazing, especially when you consider the fact that it was the first point with your finger telephone system, uh, and this has been lost to history. Microsoft and Palm Pilot had touchscreen telephones, but you had to use a stylus. You couldn't use your finger. Although I guess so many people did figure out it's that in certain instances, depending on what the phone was, you actually could use your finger. And I can't remember if that's where Jobs got the inspiration for this or not. But yeah, they nailed this on the very first try. But there doesn't seem to be anything coming in the pipeline that you would call revolutionary now. So, I mean, what they're up to what, iPhone 16, you know? I mean, and yeah, every single one's been better, but I don't have to tell you if you own one. It's pretty much this product is pretty much matured at this point. There's not much difference between iPhone 15 and iPhone 16. There isn't. And I don't, I'm sure you know that too. So, I mean, it's really interesting. Is this company going to actually stop growing? You know, that's a very interesting thing. And then the thing is, do they? And O'Leary was talking about this. Do they actually branch off into services? I mean, right now there's the iCloud, but they're not really marketing it to like businesses per se. But will they start doing that? I mean, they got a lot of competition with Google and Microsoft. But that's not a bad thing. These companies, that's that big, they can compete. So I don't know. That's gonna be a very interesting thing. He brought up a very interesting point there. I mean, there's a good possibility this company will stop growing. And I've come to subscribe to the Machiavellian version of life, and that is if you're not growing, you're dying. And I know for the longest time, as a good little liberal guy, didn't understand that. I thought, well, that doesn't really make any sense. What's wrong with stasis? Stasis in real life, stasis doesn't work. It doesn't. You're either growing, or if you stand still, you're going to fall behind. That's all there is to it. So, and then Nvidia, and now this I'm kind of pulling out my butt here. But if I'm right, they announced they're going to start selling chips to China again. Did I see that right? I mean, God, these people talk about being on a tear. Now I have to tell you, we revolutionized our studio here by installing NVIDIA equipment. The green screen you see behind me does not exist. There's no screen there. Now, when we started, there was an actual green screen back there, and we were using a chroma key to put the Minneapolis skyline back there. Now it's all done with NVIDIA chips and AI. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff we do in the studio with NVIDIA chips, and we couldn't have been done any other way. And they're the only chips that'll do it. Like, we have programs that process our video that only run off NVIDIA chips. They won't work with any other type. So they're just tearing the place up. Pretty. I don't know. It's like it's a pretty amazing time to be alive. All right, we've been talking a lot about the Epstein stuff, and Ghislaine. I don't know how to pronounce her freaking name. No one does. I'm going to call it's Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Okay, so last night we were talking with Jennifer Oliver Connell. I was telling about what Nils Grevelius, the Los Angeles detective, said on the show a couple of weeks ago, and that he said two things. First of all, he said, "Oh, now I got to remember them." And last night I forgot them too, but I did actually remember them. Well, the second thing he said is he thought that. Oh, the first thing he said was he thought that Epstein's suicide. He said, well, people are arguing about whether he killed himself or whether he was killed. And he said there's an in between there. He called it an assisted suicide, and it would work like this. And this is really true. For up till a few days before he killed himself, Epstein had a roommate in that cell, and that roommate was a serial murderer. And so the proposal or the scenario that Grevelius says is that they go to his roommate, and they tell his roommate to tell Epstein, look, either you kill yourself, or I, being the serial murderer roommate, I will torture the crap out of you and then kill you. And that would be enough impetus probably to get somebody to kill themselves. And then the whole thing about, I mean, everyone's always wondered, okay, so all the cameras went bad, the guards fell asleep. I mean, it's way too much coincidence. And when I've learned doing this job for 6 years, if it's coincidence, there's no coincidence. The people just plan this crap. There's too many coincidences here. So, but even though if that stuff all was planned, like Grevelius said, maybe he actually did kill himself. It's just he was quote unquote encouraged to. So that's a really interesting theory, because the thing is, if he does kill himself, the powers can actually say, well, no, we didn't kill him, and they didn't. They might have fed him information to force him to kill himself, but they didn't kill him. So that's an interesting point of view. And then the other thing is, and Jennifer and I were talking about this because she knows about this like I do, and that is Ghislaine Maxwell's father was Robert Maxwell of the Maxwell Publishing Empire in the UK. And also, he died in a very suspicious circumstances. He basically supposedly had a heart attack and fell off his boat, but that's never. He drowned, and the coroner did say it appeared he had a heart attack and drowned, but that's never. No one saw it happen. So, and not to mention that when he died, it turned out, and no one knew this till after he passed away, he was 400 million pounds in debt, about $500 million in debt. And his companies were basically liquidated. They ceased to exist after he died. He had this whole thing. He was spinning, like my old boss Jeff Meyer says, he was spinning plates is what he was doing. So she comes from a pedigree of basically shady behavior. So what Grevalius suggested, and Jennifer thought it was a very interesting theory too, as do I, and that is she's actually the brains of the operation, and that Epstein was the cover. He wasn't driving it, she was. Now, I bring that up because today she has testified not to Congress, but she says she will testify to Congress if two things: that she is granted immunity and she has the questions in advance. And she said she would answer all the questions. And supposedly, at this the 5-hour interrogation they already did, she answered every single question. She didn't. But now this is, I don't understand the very vagaries of this because I'm not a lawyer. But I was under the impression you can't selectively claim the Fifth Amendment rights when you're answering questions like that. In other words, you either claim all of them or none of them. But it doesn't matter. She did answer every single question. I answered over 100 questions, and she answered every single one. And she said she's willing to testify publicly in front of Congress if she has granted immunity and she has the questions in advance. So that's kind of interesting. Now she's holding herself up, and apparently rightly so, that she has been a model prisoner because God knows she wants to get pardoned. So she's stuck for 20 years on the slammer, and I think what has she done? 4 now or 5? So she wants to get out. But yeah, but that the buzz on Epstein, and so Bill Walton was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and this guy knows everybody. He's been CEO of huge companies. He was on the Trump transition team, so he knows Trump. He knows everybody. But he said on this program, so I'm repeating this, he said this publicly. So I'm not blowing anything out of school here. He said that his contacts were telling him that Epstein was actually working for Mossad, which is the Israeli CIA. And I've heard that too. And then there also, of course, it's been floated that he was working for the American CIA also. But maybe Grevalius is saying, well, maybe it's Maxwell who was working for Mossad, which is it's a really, really interesting scenario, especially knowing her family history and knowing her pedigree, where she comes from. That's not at all unlikely. It isn't. So anyway, that's really interesting. So she's floated this to Congress that under these two conditions she will appear. I'm assuming they will agree to this because I don't think either one of those things are unreasonable. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Britain is going to hell, and I don't know exactly where we stop. The interview with Rachel Ehrenfeld just froze up, but her and I addressed this. Britain, basically, they have taken away free speech rights. I mean, it's really, really frightening what's going on over there. I mean, it's way, way worse than anything that's happened here in the United States. Way worse. Well, just on Friday now, a new law went into effect, and I think it's called the Online Safety Act, if I'm right. And it is ostensibly to keep child porn off the internet. That is ostensibly what it's for. But the thing is, you can get arrested for all sorts of behavior. You can get arrested for commenting on a photo of migrants. If your comment is disparaging, you can get picked up by the police. And apparently people already have, and it hasn't even been a week. This is already happening. So now the UK government is proposing that, no, so you know what a VPN is, right? A virtual private network. So it will change your IP address. So because the thing is, obviously, this doesn't apply to stuff outside of the UK, and Elon Musk is there. They are attempting to comply with this law, but just in the UK, just in England. So a lot of people apparently this week, scads of people in the UK signed up for VPN services because you could actually like put your IP address like in New York City or something like that, you know. And now they're thinking about making VPNs illegal. With I don't freaking believe this. First of all, there's a legitimate reason, technical reason to use a VPN. I mean, besides the fact that it masks your IP address, that could be a good thing if for your own security. Let alone, let alone trying to, post. And we're not talking about posting porn here. We're talking about posting like I can't remember. There's a clause in the law that says something about something unreasonable or something like that, or it says really, this is really draconian stuff. It's really terrible, So they're thinking about outlawing VPNs. That's nuts. That's crazy. First of all, there's a lot of companies that need VPNs just to hide their data from scammers and if they have classified stuff. So there's just that alone. But yeah, I just God, I mean, I just find this amazing that if the lengths they are going to try to, they're basically trying to control the populace. They are, Now Rachel talked about the fact. I know, because she did this in the first half of the interview. About she talked about Rachel's law, which was passed because of something she did, and so that law involves the fact that she got sued by a Saudi prince in English court, not even though it was posted on an American website and she wrote it in the United States. She got sued in an English court for defamation. And like she pointed out, defamation laws are different all over the world than they are in the United States here because we have a First Amendment and we're the only country. You have to understand this. We're the only country on the entire planet that has the First Amendment, where it's actually codified in the law that you have freedom of speech. We're the only one. So defamation is handled, although obviously it's a local issue depending on where it is, but it's handled differently in the United States than all over the world. Here in the United States, the bar to prove defamation is very high. Like she mentioned, in England, you have to prove that you're. How does this work? You have to prove that you're innocent, not that the other party's guilty. It's bizarre, but that's the way their legal system works. And so this guy who sued her in English court won, and then they're trying to, for all practical purposes, they extradited the ruling to the United States to make her pay, and she said no. And so now she finally got Barack Obama signed into law. The Congress passed a law that you can't do this anymore. You can't, if you're sued for defamation in another country, you can't, that ruling will not transfer to the United States. And that was her deal. So yeah. I'm just trying to think. I have no good ending for that, but that'll work. All right. Meanwhile, at a WNBA game, and I couldn't remember which game this was. Hold on, let me see if I can look really quick. At a WNBA game, this is the Phoenix Mercury and the Washington Mystics, and so Khalil Copper, son of Berkeley, ran to the locker room because her wig fell off and hit the floor. And now I don't look. I'm not a woman, as you might imagine. Looking at me, I don't understand what's going on there. I don't understand why you're wearing a wig while you're playing basketball. I don't know if you ever, I mean, people have hair follicle issues, especially if you've gone through cancer treatments, that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, she did. Okay, so here's two things here. All right, the wig fell off, hit the floor. She ran off the court. They stopped the game. Not for any like technical reason. They stopped the game because she ran off the court. Okay, the game is stopped. All right, there's that. And then it turns out that some guy in the stands found this extremely funny and started to laugh really loud and hard, and they kicked him out. I don't believe it, really, seriously. And then people wondering, why people won't take your league seriously. Why? What the hell? They kicked somebody out for laughing? Yeah, they did. They did do that. And she's wearing a wig while she's playing basketball. I have no like I don't. I don't know what's going on, folks. I don't. It's like this is like, and seriously, they're like I think they've been losing 40-50 million dollars a year every year for like 30 years. Somebody pointed out, well, I guess this is worse for Colbert. Colbert lost $40 million a year, one person. The whole league loses $40 million a year in the WNBA. So, I guess Colbert has a problem. Nobody's watching. And then the advertising rates go down, and then you're screwed. That's the way it works. All right, so I wrote about this in the description for the show tonight. So the scientists at SETI are bitching about the fact, and they have a very legitimate bitch here too, about the fact that if they finally find an alien signal, there's no protocol anywhere on Earth on how to deal with this. They've received they say they've received no guidance from the federal government, from the United States government on what to do if they actually get an alien signal that they definitively confirmed. Now, I have to preface this because there's been rumors floating around for years that they've already got one, and that the federal government has asked them not to announce it. That's been floating around, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't. The other thing, but on the other hand, too, it also wouldn't surprise me if they haven't found one, because we're dealing with radio, folks, and I don't think the majority of, I'm just speculating here. You know me, I'm a conspiracy theorist, I don't think anybody who has the technology to fly around faster than the speed of light is dealing with the radio. For example, a prime example is quantum communication. Now, we just in the last year, for the first time ever, they controlled a quantum entanglement. So let me explain what that is. There's certain circumstances where the revolution of electrons around a proton in an atom or a molecule, the direction they're going can be controlled, so that if you take two different atoms out of that molecule and send one, well, you can put one on the other side of the room, or you can send it out 50 light years into space. But the one you have in the lab, that when you tingle it and massage it, did it go a different direction? The thing 50 light years out into space, that atom will actually immediately and instantaneously do the same thing. That's what entanglement is. It's a completely baffling phenomenon. No one figures out how this works, but it's instantaneous. It doesn't matter whether you're 15 feet or 1 billion miles away. It's instantaneous. Now, what's the practical application for this? Communication, radio and television. Right now, the moon isn't that bad. I think the signal to the moon is only 4 or 5 seconds, if I'm right, delay. But if we're going to Jupiter or Saturn or something like that, then you're talking about 20 minutes to a couple hours, depending on how you're doing, or even Mars. I don't remember, saw 2001. They dealt with that in that movie. I think they were dealing with a 2-hour delay, so you couldn't have a conversation. You sent a message, you waited 2 hours. They sent a message back, that took another 2 hours. So that this is a big deal. And then if you're going to fly outside of the solar system, even if you have the technology and the power to do that, how do you communicate with Earth? How do you communicate with home base at that point? Right now I think, all right, Voyagers 1 and 2 are outside of the solar system, and I think, if I'm right, I think the signal takes about a day each way, if I'm correct. The last time, this is, once again, I'm pulling this on my butt too, but I think that's what it is. About a day so far, and they're still working. Now, I can't remember which one. I think it's Voyager 1 is probably going to crap out here relatively soon, because they put tiny little nuclear reactors on both these spacecraft to power them. And I think it's Voyager 1, I can't remember, one of them. That power is gonna crap out here. They were literally powered up for 50 years, and those spacecraft have been flying for 50 years, and so they're gonna. I mean, at that point, the thing dies, you know. But yeah, I think it's about a day right now for the signal to go in. It's way, way, way out past Pluto at this point, way out. Uh, so the thing is, so you're, I think the SETI scientists, their problem is, I don't think there's a lot of people using radio. That's the problem. Now, you might talk about, and I keep reminding everyone this since Bruce Solheim was on the show. By the way, he's coming back because we had a really weird thing that happened there. Every single copy of that program got lost, and that talk about baffling. If I was paranoid, I think something was every single one, even the local copy that we were recording here in our studio did not record. And we're talking about 6, 7 different places, folks. We broadcast this show of the video on 5 different social networks, and supposedly every one of them is supposed to record it as we broadcast it live. All of them failed. The local copy here in our studio failed. There's no copy of the show. It's really, really weird. And that was about a month ago. So he's coming back. I think it's August 14th, if I'm right. I'm not sure. So talk to him again. Any rate, he yeah, why did I bring him up? Okay, we're talking about SETI. Uh uh any rate, yeah, I brought him up for a reason. Now I can't remember what it is. Anyway, yeah, so any rate, I don't now I remember it. Yeah, I brought him up because I keep reminding people that we're dealing with civilizations anywhere from 200 years to 2 million years ahead of us, and there's scads of them. I don't. I've come to the conclusion after all the reading I've done that the universe is teeming with life, and then you're wondering, well, where is everybody? Well, it appears that we're kind of quarantined for whatever reason, But sooner or later, I do think SETI will find something. I really do, because the people broadcasting there who are only 200 years ahead of us, they still got their bullshit TV shows or whatever they're doing. They're probably still using radio, so they're going to find. But my guess is the vast majority of the civilizations in the galaxy are no longer using radio. That's my guess. But the thing is, radio waves, they go on forever. And so, like, if you're, 50 or 100 or 1,000 light years from Earth, it's going to take 1,000 years for that signal to get here. So, you may be 1,000 years past radio, but your radio is still traveling. It's an odd situation. Anyway, I brought that up because yes, I think there's a good possibility. I mean, I kind of think the rumors might be true about the fact that SETI has already had a signal, but their complaint, with the reason this was an article, is that there's no one on the planet has set up a protocol on how to deal with this with the public, regarding the public, and they've got a really good point. They really do. It's like there has to be a way to roll this out, because yes, a certain amount of the public, and especially in less developed countries, are going to go insane, literally, probably. This is the only thing. The great Jazz Shaw passed away last October. Rest in peace, Jazz. He came on the show regularly. He was a UFO writer for Salem Media. He wrote for the Debrief. He wrote for all sorts of scientific publications. And that's the only thing him and I disagreed on, about the fact that, he said, well, people can handle this. And I said, no, no, no. Americans probably can handle it, but I don't know about the rest of the world. And Nick Pope, the very famous guy who used to work for the Ministry of Defense at the UFO desk there, who's on every single UFO and ancient alien show you've ever seen. He's really good at getting around. I mean, he makes a full-time living at this now appearing as basically an expert, and he's very well spoken. He's very good at it. I would love to have him on the show. I mean, it's not going to happen. It isn't. First of all, at this point, I think he demands payment to show up, and I don't blame him. If it's what he does for a job, that's cool. But he said, and I thought this was really interesting. He said he thought the public could handle it until COVID hit, and he said, "Well, the world handled COVID so badly." He said, "I don't know if they can handle this," and he's got a point there. I think that's true. I think there's a lot of I think the less Rachel Ehrenfeld and I were talking. I think this happened before the video crapped out too about the fact that I think there's a lot of countries in the Middle East that are basically 200 years behind us in terms of civilization. And that may be insulting or whatever, but I just think it's a fact. You know, so I mean, you look at that, and you're still kind of in the dark ages about what the world's about, and then people tell you that, oh, there's people coming here from outer space. You're either not going to believe it or something, or you're going to think I'll lie to you, or I don't know. I haven't, I don't know what happens there, but I don't think what would happen would probably be good. That's my point. So, along with that, Avi Loeb, the chief astronomer at Harvard. Now there's a third. There's been in the last 10 years maybe. There have been three objects that have entered our solar system from outside the solar system for the first time. One was that Uam, God, I can't pronounce it. Uamuma thing that was about 6-7 years ago. That was supposedly the first item that ever entered interstellar solar space from outside the solar system, and that was a very interesting thing because Loeb has gone on record saying he thinks it was probably an alien spacecraft or some sort of probe. It was about 1,500 feet long. It was cigar shaped. Of course, no one got a good picture of it. They knew that from the radar images they were getting. It wasn't that big. In other words, and it came from, and not only that, it had very unusual flight characteristics. It seemed to be self-powered. It's pretty easy to figure out how gravity slingshot stuff around the solar system, and it wasn't following that. So, when it actually slingshot around the sun, it actually sped up, where usually these things would slow down. So it looked like it was self-powered, and he's gone on record saying he thinks that the most likely thing is that it was an alien probe. And I think now there's been a second thing that came up. I don't know too much about that. The third thing is this comet, and I think, what is it called, 312b or something like that. I should have written this down. I should have. But that's the third thing that's coming from out of the solar system. And now, once again, people are saying that this thing might be an alien probe too. However, it's much, much bigger. This thing is between 7 and 12 miles in diameter. It's very, compared to the Oumuamua thing, it's very, very large. So, and it may or may not be a comet. It has some characteristics of a comet and some that aren't. So there's that too. So that's gonna be interesting. But anyway, he's tracking that thing. And finally, speaking of that, so you've heard that we've talked about the Buga sphere. This was in Buga, Colombia. And people see these spheres flying around all over the world. There's a guy named Patrick Jackson from the UK, and he's a data scientist by training. And he has figured out, as far as he can tell, what's going on here is that those spheres are all networked together. Now they all fly. That's the thing. They have no visible means of propulsion. They have no wings, but they all fly. And this one in Buga, Colombia, was caught flying. They were actually multiple people from multiple locations filmed it flying, and it's flying, and it landed. And somebody went to grab it. And the person that grabbed it ended up with this really bad radiation poisoning. But now scientists have it in Colombia, and they're keeping it under lock and key. They've x-rayed it. It has a whole bunch of electronic equipment inside of it. It has weird markings on the outside. I have said that there's a good possibility the thing was not the thing they recovered. But I don't know about this. But now and Jamie Maussan, the guy from Mexico, who is completely full of shit. No, actually, no. I have to. Let me amend that. He's only partially full of shit, which is just as scary because you don't know what to believe and what isn't. I mean, it's not the guy. It's not that the guy is a wholesale liar. He isn't. He has actually done some reasonably good work in the UFO field, but he's done some really bad work too. So you never know what to think. So at any rate, he has said that a bunch of guys claiming to be the police, they're storing this thing in a bank vault in Colombia, and he said a bunch of people claiming to be the police came to the bank and tried to seize this thing, and and Stephen Greer and Eric Burleson, the congressman of all people, they actually went down there. Burleson actually went down there, and they said that they don't know that, as far as they can tell, Mossad's telling the truth about that. That these guys actually tried to take possession of this thing, claiming they were authorities, and it appears they were lying. They were not. But so I mean, this thing's very, very interesting. As someone pointed out, it might be the first uh, uh, alien object that's ever been captured that's been studied purely non-governmentally, where no government so far, no government is involved in this. So this is all private citizenry and scientists. Private scientists are taking care of this. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting what they find out. Now, if the X-rays are real, it does appear that this thing isn't a real electronic device. What they're trying to do right now, apparently, they're trying to revive it by sending electrical charge into it, because they think if they can get the thing to fly again or afloat, whatever you want to call it, then it will probably call home. And they think they can track that. That's what they're trying to do right now. So far, no success. There's a sphere found in the United States in Florida in like the 1970s, which is very similar. That was called the Betz sphere. It was found by the Betz family, BETZ, and it was very similar. They didn't have the equipment then to X-ray something like that, but that thing apparently got stolen, so no one knows whatever happened to it. So this thing's similar, and Patrick Jackson says so. He says there's 3 levels of these flying spheres, and they're based on the sphere's size. What they have in Colombia and the ones that most people see are about 14 inches in diameter. They're the size basically of a basketball, roughly. And he says there's larger spheres that fly higher, like in around the 30,000 uh, foot range, kind of where airliners fly, and pilots see these things regularly. And then he says there's even larger spheres that are flying up at the top of the atmosphere, about 100,000 feet, and they all communicate with each other. It's a giant network. He said they're all networked together, and he said that as far as he can tell, the goal is to monitor Earth. It's a monitoring system, and I don't know how. I read his book. I don't know how he figured this out, and he only mentioned in passing. But he says he thinks the people running this network now. I'm going to say people. We're talking about ETs, but we'll just say people. He thinks the people running it now are not the people that built it. He said he thinks they found it because apparently it's still pretty glitchy, and he has documented some of the errors that these things spit out. Now, he's so into this that he figured out the signal to basically call them. He can now summon these spheres at will, and within a couple minutes, he says, by broadcasting a signal at a certain signal at a certain frequency. And he figured this out by observing them and measuring their output. And now he says they just show up. He says he can turn on his computer hooked up to a speaker, and these things will just show up. And supposedly there have been people who have seen him do this. Now this gets to another thing that Stephen Greer, we're talking about him and we're in this bucosphere. Stephen Greer has apparently figured out how to uh, call or summon unidentified phenomena. And he does it regularly. Matter of fact, I think he runs some sort of thing, and I don't blame him for doing this. You guys got to make a living. That he will take groups out into the desert, Nevada desert, and he charges them for doing this. But he takes them out, and I don't know what exactly this involves. Once again, I don't know if it involves a radio transmission or what it involves. But yeah, he summons UFOs, and they show up, and apparently they show up all the time. He can do this consistently. So the whole thing is pretty fascinating, but something's going to happen. I've been hearing for years and years and years. People always say, "Well, all these predictions are made; they never come true." But the one prediction, the date has never changed, and that is in 2027 or 2028, something major is going to happen. And people have been talking about those years for 20 years now. So, and we're only 2 or 3 years away from that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Really interesting. As you can tell, I'm really interested, and I am. I don't know. I got a sickness. I got curiosity to a level of sickness. I do. It's the reason I love talking to all these people. I find pretty much anything anybody says fascinating, and you would say, and some of my friends say that I buy too much. I don't think so, but that's what they say, that I pretty much believe anything. No, actually, that's not true. It's the opposite. I've said this many times. 95% of all the evidence presented in the UFO field is complete bullshit. 95% of it. Usually people are sincerely mistaken. They're not trying to fool anybody. They're just wrong. But you got your hoaxers, you got your fraudsters, you got all this stuff, but you put all this stuff together, the vast majority of the stuff that people present as evidence is wrong. Is bullshit. But the problem is there's so much that isn't bullshit that you can't, at this point, I don't think you can avoid the phenomena. And I think it was Eric Burlison, the congressman, he said this himself. There's so much positive evidence that something's going on. At this point, you can. I just assume that the extraterrestrials are here. I just assume it. So tomorrow night we got what do we got tomorrow night? We got Gary Gallis, the economist. We'll talk to him from Pepperdine University. Ever been on the campus here? It's beautiful. It's in Malibu. It's on the ocean. Oh, it's fantastic. It's like a movie set. It's unbelievable. We'll talk to him, I think, mostly about tariffs, which seem to be working out. But I've come to the conclusion when people talk about tariffs, this big argument about tariffs, Trump's not really doing tariffs. He isn't. He's doing tariffs as a negotiating ploy. So you have to, tariffs in and of themselves, maybe regular bullshit tariffs maybe wouldn't work. But there's more going on here than just tariffs. So that might be the reason it is working. And so far it does seem to be working. It does. Yeah. So Gary's on tomorrow night and Thursday night, our 2-year anniversary. Larry Newman, Murray Sabin, maybe my mom, if I can get her to run a phone correctly. I want to thank you folks for watching. Thank you for listening. I enjoy your company immensely. I hope you enjoy mine. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are, and good night to you, wherever you may be. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Take care.